I'm your host, Davida Shinsky, and you're listening to Live Without Limits, Dreams Come True with the Right Mindset. And today's show is titled Overcome Fear, 5 Powerful Techniques to Convince Your Brain That You're Safe. Fear, it can be paralyzing and it can paralyze you. It can consume you. It can further make you feel out of control, overwhelmed, and straight up upset. For some, they can even struggle to leave their home due to fear of the outside world. Now, when you suffer fear, many a times it creates stress in your life. And when it creates stress in your life, then that's what you feel as though you have to deal with. When it may very well be underlying issues that you're having. And in order to overcome those underlying issues, you need to know exactly where your problem is. Now, maybe your fears aren't quite as severe, yet overcoming your fears could lead to an array of opportunities and experiences that you feel you're missing out on, or the very least, not fearing that thing could substantially improve your life. So, what can you do? In this show, we're going to dive into exactly what is happening in the state of fear and how you can use 5 powerful coping skills to overcome it and convince your brain that you're safe. So, understanding fear and why we experience it. Anxiety and fear tend to go hand in hand. When you fear something, anxiety can build, leading to dysfunction in certain parts of your life. And fear isn't useless. In fact, it can be really useful. For our ancestors, fear was ultra useful. In many ways, it was a means of survival. Fear is essentially an emotional response to something or someone that seems dangerous. It's telling our bodies to get the heck out of there. For example, fear drives you to run away from that bear when you need to do so. It helps you get to safety so that you survive. This is basically the sole purpose of fear: survival. Survival of the fittest. And fears can actually be really healthy. For example, if you don't know how to swim, being afraid of deep water makes sense. If you fall in, you could end up in a pretty dangerous situation. Then there's those other times where fear just isn't helping you. In many cases, it can hinder you. For example, being scared of public speaking is very common, but it is often only adds stress to your personal life. Now, here's the thing: there are all ways to overcome fear of speaking. You join Toastmasters. By joining Toastmasters, what does it do? Well, it gives you an opportunity to get up in front of a supportive group of people and speak. And the first speech you give only lasts for 3 minutes. And who are you talking about? Yourself, because it helps you get comfortable speaking. Then, after that, each speech gets a little bit longer, but then you learn like how to use your hands, how to use descriptive words, to the point that after 10 speeches, you become comfortable and you become and get certified as a competent Toastmaster. Again, this comes back to survival. And let's back up. Fears can develop into phobias. Phobias happen when you've had an intense fear reaction. The amygdala in your brain actually keeps track of these reactions. And when the circumstance, object, animal, or person appears again, your amygdala triggers the fear response. Again, this comes back to survival. You live and learn what is safe and not safe. Yet, the brain doesn't always understand that certain things aren't always unsafe. And this is where overcoming your fears is useful. So, how is fear different from anxiety? Fear is different from anxiety since anxiety is worrying about something that has yet to happen. Meanwhile, fear is an intense and immediate response to potentially present danger. They are both very similar, though in very different circumstances. Both can be useful or not. The goal is learning how to control your fear with coping skills. These mechanisms can also be useful as coping skills for anxiety, helping you lead a more calm and peaceful life. 5 exercises to overcome fear. So, how can I train my mind to overcome fear? Basically, finding a coping mechanism for fear comes down to convincing your brain that you feel safe. Your brain needs to know that it's in control, or at the very least, that you have control over something in your life. So, next time you're feeling scared, try using these coping skills. First, practice deep breathing. This means taking deep belly breaths. This naturally calms your nervous system, signaling to your brain that you're a-okay. In fact, studies show that this is really all about controlling your breathing. In turn, you are telling your brain and body that everything is okay and you are in control, rather than simply letting fear take you on a wild ride. Close your eyes and visualize your happy space. Visualization is a powerful technique that you can use to achieve a lot in your life. And the visualization is part of what's known as the laws of attraction. And the laws of attraction talk about that energy that you're putting forth. When you feel really scared, if appropriate, close your eyes. Imagine a place where you feel calm and content. The goal here is to engage as many senses as possible to really make the place feel real. What is your smell as you step forward? What do you feel on your skin? Is it warm or cold? What do you hear? These are the important questions to fill in the blanks to, and to do so that can truly calm yourself and your mind through the visualization techniques. 3. Examine the facts. Logic trumps our feelings every single time. Your feelings are real, but you control your thoughts and behaviors. And you can easily do this by examining the facts. For instance, if you're scared of heights and standing on the edge of a cliff, about to jump into the water, but are paralyzed, Think about it. What are the odds that anything bad will happen? Slim to none. How many people safely did the same before you? These are all good things to measure and examine before letting fear control your actions. Accept some things are out of your control and focus on what you can control. The truth is that we never truly control everything, except that at times and divert your attention elsewhere. Remember, fear is useful. Sometimes our brain can easily trick us into thinking that we might die if we step outside of our homes. But we know this isn't true. At the same time, we know it's not true and that there is some risk. So control what you can and let go of what you can't. Now, the last thing I'm going to say about that particular thing is that often what we fear is something that's secondary. Because if you're a child and your mother or your father experience something like a tree falling right in front of them during a storm, then whenever a storm comes up, they experience real fear because they're going right back to that experience they had. The thing is that you, as that child, learn to fear the storm simply be through their fears. So that's a secondary fear. And those are the things that are much easier to overcome if you haven't experienced it personally. Breath and draw a square, or rather breathe, then draw a square. This combines a few of the coping mechanisms above. So, fear has taken its hold. You feel that it's all consuming. Here's what you can do right away. Take 5 deep breaths in. Ensure they are full belly breaths. Then draw a box in front of you with your index finger. Inhale as you draw the line across. Then exhale as you draw the line down, and so on. So it goes like this. Continue doing this until you have fully calmed down. And really focus on drawing the box and your breathing. You can control your breath. You can control your focus on what you're doing. So let's get off of your fears. Babe Ruth once said, never let the fear of striking out go to get in your way. Gain back control over your fears. It's extremely possible. They don't need to rule your life. In fact, you have much more control than you might think. Take it and use it and the above coping mechanisms to help you do so. You are more than the fear that you feel. And fear can truly put you at odds and keep you from living the life you were meant to live. Therefore, it's up to you to figure out how you are going to take more control over your life. And I want to tell you about a 5 day challenge that I'm doing that's called Change Your Thoughts, Transform Your Life. And in that program, the first day we talk about your unconscious or your subconscious thoughts and how they affect the way you communicate. The second day, we talk about toxic relationships because those toxic relationships, for one thing, can cause the fear. And for another thing, it puts you in a situation where you grow up in a toxic relationship, so you end up in a toxic relationship. And how are you going to get rid of those toxic relationships? The third day, we talk about the workplace culture and understanding behavioral communication styles and how to adapt them. On the fourth day, we talk about changing those negative thoughts to positive thoughts. And on the fifth day, we talk about where do you go from here and review what we went through all week. Now, to take part in that, you go to changeyourthoughtschallenge.com/join the challenge, and I hope to see you there.